time. I want to make sure our candidates have their chance to express their views.
What do you think?
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to get this thing rolling. Welcome to the Congressional 3 debate, near and dear to my heart. In any event, let me just make sure that everybody understands that this is an interview, not a debate. The panelists will be asking questions. They can go directly to one of you, or they can direct a yes, no to all of you. And I'm asking for everybody's patience. You can see there's a large number of candidates. Again, you'll have about a minute to respond. And in case of a yes, no question, I know those are tough, but you should do your best with that. I will start off with the opening statements, and then we'll end with closing statements, so everyone should get a fair share. We'll do our best. Okay, I think the panelists have introduced themselves as we've gone along, but they'll introduce themselves again when they ask their question. Very brief name and possible organization. Since we left off in the middle of the last panel, we'll start in the middle. But first, I want to start with the 30-second opening statements. I know that's tough, but do your best. And if I hold my hand up or otherwise say time, please stop out of respect to your fellow candidates and to the panelists and to the audience. Okay, with that said, how about we start down the other end this time with Mr. Schiffman.
Oh, I didn't expect that. Okay.
Why not?
Okay, I'm Steve Schiffman. I'm an attorney. I live in Summerlin. I've been in Nevada since 2011. My background, very briefly, is having represented the U.S. government, both directly with the State Department, USAID, and the contractors, mainly overseas, doing governance, rule of law, parliamentary advice, basically the issues that we're facing today. To be honest, where I was, for example, in Afghanistan, about 6 different assignments, my life every day was based on the military protecting me. I'm saying that because when I had to go out and meet with judges, I had to meet with prosecutors, defense attorneys, who are the ones that accompanied me to make sure that I was safe and that the routing that I take was safe from terrorists and those who wanted to kill Americans. It was the military. As a matter of fact, politics notwithstanding, I think he was a Sergeant Palin's, was one of the group there in Afghanistan.
Hi, my name's Danny Tarkanian. I've lived in Southern Nevada now for over 35 years. I'm raising my 4 young children with my beautiful wife, Amy, here. I operate 2 different small businesses. One's a nonprofit where we work with young kids, teaching the life lessons of sports. Been involved with several nonprofits here. I love this community. This community has been great to my family, and I, as many of you and many in this community, have been extremely upset and frustrated with what's happened with our elected officials, primarily in this last legislative session. I decided to run for office and try to make a difference. I think I'm exactly the kind of person and character that you would want in office. You want somebody who's resilient, who will fight back, who gets knocked down, handles adversity, and comes back stronger than ever. And that's me, and that's what I'll bring back to Washington, D.C., along with my conservative principles. Thank you.
Hello?
Hi, I'm Neil Waite. I'm a native Nevadan. I'm also a Navy veteran. My father was a photojournalist in town for over 20 years for the Las Vegas Sun, who instilled principles of right and wrong in me. I am a family man. I have 2 young children, a 5-year, or actually 2 young, a 5, 7-year-old, and I have a 14-year-old who's going on 26. I got into this race because we have a dysfunctional political culture in Washington, D.C., and before we can correct the ship and make any significant change, we have to fix the culture. We also have a congressional delegation that does not represent the district.
I apologize to the candidates, but I have to do it. Of course. Mr. Bowers, Kerry.
Good afternoon. My name is Kerry Bowers, and I am a 30-year combat veteran of the United States Air Force. Upon retirement in 2006, I was self-employed, providing technical training services back to the military and defense industry, specific to radar and infrared systems that I was involved with. After that, I became pretty much engaged in a national organization called Americans for Fair Taxation, which led me to, at that point, start looking at more issues that we have in America today, of which veterans, problems and issues we have with veterans today is a part of that. That led me to become, in September of 2013, a presidential candidate, which I resigned from in October of 2015. But we found that we had a message that resonated loud and clear when we could get it in front of an audience, and that is the reason we're continuing this on today as a congressional candidate. My name is Kerry Bowers, congressional candidate CD3, and I look for your vote. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Sbaih. I'm running for Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. I want to thank the Veterans in Politics for having us here today and everyone who's attending. I'm a son of 2 amazing people who sacrificed everything to bring me to this great nation to have a shot at the American dream. I'm also a husband of a wonderful woman, an incredibly brilliant and beautiful woman, who is the love of my life, Dr. Samira Sbaih, and she is my wife. I'm also a father of 2 amazing, adorable children who inspire me each and every day to do great things for our country. I've been a trial lawyer for 14 years, where I've defended and helped members of our community fight for justice against big corporations and the government. I'm often asked, why are you running for Congress? I'm running for Congress because I love our country, love my community, and I love the American dream. I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Dave Goossen. My platform is no campaign donations, no political affiliation, reapply for government programs and the fair tax. I am the solution to government's problems.
My name is Barry Michaels. I've been in business for over 50 years, continue to do so today, from Pizza Parlor to National Airline. I've also run for this position. This will be my 5th time. It's the only position, political position I've ever run for, and it will be the last one I do run for. I don't need a job, and I don't need a career. So I just would like to participate, knowing what I can do and what I know. And I thank you for listening.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Annette Treijeiro. I have had a family history of over 4 decades of my family being here. I have more than a couple of decades of being a physician in our community. I also have over 15 years experience of interfacing with our state legislature and some of our federal legislation too, in reviewing legislation, actually helping amend legislation, and testifying on legislation. I am the proud mother of 3 teenagers, and if any of you know how much fun that is. And I'm also a physician in our community. I am an anesthesiologist. I am one of the people that understands Obamacare. My husband is a Vietnam-era veteran. And yesterday I buried one of my very dear friends who called me and said, Annette, I'm going to shoot myself if I don't get taken care of. And that started him on the pathway to being diagnosed with a lethal form of cancer. God bless him. God bless all of our heroes. And I'm here to defend not only you as heroes, but actually to try and make this America a better place for all of us. Thank you.
My name is Alex Singer. I'm a candidate in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. I've been a resident of Nevada for over 23 years. I'm 29 years old, and everyone asks me, why am I running for Congress and why now? Well, it's time that we had representation that actually represented the people, a novel idea. And it's time that we had people that worked, congressmen that worked for the people. That's why I'm 100% grassroots. We're funded by the people and for the people. Oftentimes people go off to Washington and they have favors to repay, donors to fight for, and they forget why they were sent there in the first place. They're sent there to fight for the issues that matter most to the citizens here in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District, and that's exactly why I'm running.
Mr. Barton, I have something I need to bring up to the panel, to the candidates here. I'm actually a paid member of the Veterans in Politics organization, and I need to make each of you here aware of that, as well as the rest of the group, in the event that there's a motion that I recuse myself.
Okay, duly noted, and thank you. Okay, again, we sort of left off in the middle of the panelists, so I'm going to continue down the line. Actually, I'd like to start with Jim, who yielded his question out of respect to Mike Edwards, but Jim, can you start? Sure. You know the format, so.
Jim Jonas, I am the radio show host for Veterans of Politics. I have kind of an interesting question with the political environment the way it is right now. I'm going to have, I'll start from right to left, and this will be a yes or no question or answer. And I'll make it as direct as possible so as not be too ambiguous with it. Yes or no, would you support doing away with federal regulations on campaign contributions and go back to a system where there's unlimited donations with no caps, with full disclosure, yes or no?
No, I believe we need strong campaign finance reform.
I would say that we need strong campaign finance reform, and we, as the voters, need to be looking at what's actually disclosed.
I would also agree, we need strong campaign finance. No, the answer.
Yes, let everyone get involved, then we'll really find out who's who.
No, we need very strong campaign finance reform.
No, not just from the national issue, but from the international perspective of having outside money coming from other sources outside the nation. No.
A firm no on that.
Jim, it's a little unfair, the yes or no. The answer should be yes, and you've got to give a little explanation. Without this, these campaign finance regulations create these third-party PACs that create all the dark money where you don't know what's coming from. That's a big problem here.
Under the old status quo, the answer is no. We don't want to have unlimited donations, especially if they are not held accountable.
Okay. Again, the sidebar comments about something being fair or not fair. Welcome to the forum. In any event, I'd like to continue with Scott. And Scott, your question.
I'm Scott LaFata with Citizens for a Better America. Danny, I'm going to direct this question to you. And what are your thoughts on the readiness of our current military, given the steep budget cuts that they've had to face recently?
I don't think we're anywhere near where we should be, considering the obstacles and the threats that we're facing today. We need to invest in our force and our weapons in protecting the men and women that are saving our country right now. There's ways to cut expenditures, not only on the domestic side, but even on the military side, getting rid of bases that are unnecessary in some places overseas, but certainly not where it matters most, and that's with the men and the equipment that they use to fight and protect us.
This question is for you, Danny. A lot of voter frustration on both sides. Too many politicians make promises they can't keep. Why would you be different?
Listen, I've been called a lot of things in my life, but one of them hasn't been honest and directful. And I get myself in trouble a little bit like my dad because we speak our mind and tell it like it is. My father always said he hated phonies. He'd rather have people not like him but know what he stands for, and that certainly is carried over with me. Most people that know what's happening in our CD3 race, we have a candidate that the establishment feels is the favorite and should win. But he's misrepresented everything he stood for when he campaigns and then went back to Carson City to the opposite. That's one of the main reasons why I got in this race. I think this individual would be the worst thing that can happen to our community if he wins. I'm in this race to stop him and I feel very good about our chances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is Assemblyman John Moore. This will be a yes or no question for all of you. At the federal level, would you support the federal government returning the lands back to the state's control? As you know, here in Nevada, 85% or more is controlled by the federal government. So what is your yes or no answer on that?
Okay, why don't you start with Alex?
The answer to that is no. I don't believe that the land should be returned to the states. I believe that it should stay within the federal reach so that the land can be used for all citizens of this country.
I believe actually your answer is in the name of the organization that you referenced. It is the Bureau of Land Management, not the Bureau of Control. So the control is the state's control. but this actually dictates other things in finances. So the control should always be the states, and the management can be helped with the Bureau of Land Management.
My answer is no.
It's right here, it's the 10th Amendment.
No, the federal government spends approximately $3 billion a year on managing federal lands. And if we were to turn away land back to the states, it would be a financial disaster for the states. In addition, public lands are for all Americans to enjoy, not just the people of the state where the land
I
resides.
know it's tough, but please try to limit the answers to yes or no when requested. I know it's difficult, but thank you.
No. My answer is no.
Andrew, with all due respect, if you have an answer, it's going to be filmed for people to see it, you got to be able to explain it. My answer would be absolutely for anything that's economically viable, residential or commercial. But if you're talking about the protection of the environment, such as a national park, it should be left in federal hands.
The answer is no, but with a caveat as well. Number one, it's not returning to the states if the states never had it. But it's not new also, because when military bases are closed, they go to the state. When federal courthouses close, they can go to the state. When other federal property ceases institutions, it goes to the state. However, if you talk about land that's in the middle of the country, which has no value, then let the federal government pay for it.
To stop you. It's in order to get as many of the panelists' questions in and many of the responses in. It's a large group. I'm asking again for everyone's cooperation. There's no favoritism being shown one way or the other. Avoid that, that'd be good. And anyway, I hate to be the heavy, but it's sort of my job. Next up is
Nathan Atkins, U.S. Army business owner. Given the direction our nation is headed in with medicinal marijuana and now recreational seeming to be more and more plausible everywhere, the banking laws are very, very tough on those businesses, right? Yes or no, would you support changing the banking laws so they can transact business like a normal business?
I guess we'll start with Stephen.
I'm not sure what you mean by normal business, but I believe that banks should be regulated.
Yes.
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 State level.
I think the issue is much more complex than that. It's not the banking laws that need to be changed. It's the federal laws that make these drugs actually illegal on the federal aspect. So it would have to change that way.
Gary?
Yes, I would support the change in the legislation to allow banks to be able to work with those institutions.
Yes.
Okay, and just to redirect a little bit, I don't know if Stephen actually answered the question about changing the banking laws. You sort of, do you want to state your answer, yes or no?
In terms of what banks should be regulated?
Whether or not they should be allowed to participate in the medical marijuana businesses being able to use their services.
Medical marijuana permission, banks should be able to involve. If it's recreational businesses, no.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Next up.
Rob Larry, U.S. Army. I'd like a yes or no question. I answer from all the participants. The likely Republican nominee right now is advocating for a wall to be built along the border. I'd like a yes or no whether you would, if you're in Congress, support his initiative to build a wall along the southern border with Mexico, starting with Alex.
No, I don't support a wall on any border.
Actually, I would support a feasible wall, but mostly it would guard all of our ports of entry.
No, I don't.
We're a sovereign nation. We need to have border security.
No, I do not support a wall.
No, but I have a fully detailed American immigration reform plan that provides additional restraints that can't be answered just in that question. But no, I do not support a wall all the way around the United States.
No, I don't support that.
Yes.
A wall already exists in much over 700 miles, so the answer is already yes. However, we have to ask where would the wall be. If we're talking about urban areas, of course. If we're talking about in the middle of no place, fences would be sufficient.
Okay, Again, yes, no type questions, I know they're horrible, but they're necessary. When you vote, if you are elected to anything, the button, your choices are yay or nay, so keep that in mind.
Can I just one statement though? Before you do yes and no, you actually get a consensus, so it's not an absolute.
That's the ground rules we're working under. Thank you.
My name is Robert Faust. Thank you for being here today. I'm former U.S. Army local businessman. My question is regarding women's rights. Starting with Mr. Schiffman, do you support abortion rights for women, and would you fund or defund Planned Parenthood?
I believe in the freedom of choice, and yes, I support Planned Parenthood for all those things they do.
No pro-life and no for Planned Parenthood. No federal dollars to Planned Parenthood.
The majority of voters in Clark County support a woman's right to choose. So I support Planned Parenthood and I support a woman's right to choose.
I would support defunding Planned Parenthood.
I fully support a woman's right to choose, and I fully support Planned Parenthood.
No.
I support a woman's right to choose and Planned Parenthood.
As a physician, I believe in the sanctity of all life, and I would defund Planned Parenthood because they are abusing their patients.
I support a woman's right to choose and I support Planned Parenthood.
Okay, who is next up here?
So my question is a simple yes or no. It really is a yes or no. Please answer yes or no. So here's my question. It's a foreign policy question. Being a member of Congress, you would have to vote in the legislature to recognize certain things, such as treaties or countries. My question to you is, are you willing to recognize the Armenian genocide, even though Turkey is a NATO member and one of our allies in the Middle East? Yes or no, Mr. Schiffman?
Can you just repeat it one more time, a little more succinct?
Okay.
What the question is?
Would you, as a member of Congress, right here, sir, would you, as a member of Congress, vote to recognize, as an official of the U.S. government as a whole, the Armenian genocide? Yes or no? Given Turkey is our NATO ally and an ally in the Middle East.
Aside from the Republic of Armenia, no.
First of all, that's yes, absolutely. But I'm Armenian. I just spoke at the Genocide Memorial. What a disgrace for anybody to say you wouldn't recognize that they killed 75% of all Armenians in a genocide, and you wouldn't recognize it? Are you kidding me? Show some guts, United States, and stand up to it.
Thank you.
Yes, I do not believe in covering our history, or the world's history, not our history, but the world's history.
Yes, I would recognize genocide anywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
I actually don't have an answer on it since I'm not really knowledgeable on the subject. I'd have to look into it further.
The United States should acknowledge all genocide that happens, so Armenian genocide, whether that be any other kind of genocide as well. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mike?
Good morning. Mike Edwards, United States Marine. We have a very large homeless veterans problem in Las Vegas and in Nevada, period. There's lots of resources. Just if you're elected to Congress, or would you be willing to sit on some of the boards to help the homeless vet problem federally and in the state of Nevada?
Absolutely, 100%. We need to start taking care of our veterans, and that involves drug abuse, addiction, that involves justice, and that definitely involves homelessness. Our real life living heroes should not be sleeping on the streets.
I concur, but also we need to support the nonprofits that actually coordinate that. I'm sure that many of you are aware of some of the veterans issues that are going on right now, and the support needs to be there for you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, stop sending money to Washington and have it stop at the Nevada border. You'll be closer and you'll be able to help the people that need it.
No question about it. No veteran should be left behind. We have a huge problem with veteran suicide. So we need to look into that. An average of 22 veterans are lost every day to suicide, and that's 20% higher than the general population. We also need to look into criminal justice. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, homelessness is a part of a broader problem that involves many other issues in the United States today, many of which I've already outlined in legislation. That legislation, I'll continue to work to make sure that we're really providing everything that encompasses all that brings veterans to a homeless state.
Yes, I would sit on any board that helps homeless veterans, but to take it a step further, I would also sit on any panel that looks at the causes of homelessness and be more proactive to prevent it from occurring in the first place.
Yes, I would.
The answer is yes, but it also requires local communities to reach out and get the funding for such, have partnerships to actually create housing.
Thank you, candidates. I'm going to roll it back up to Melanie. Your question.
Do you support Common Core, yes or no?
Are you asking everybody? Did everyone hear the question? Yes. No. Support Common Core, yes or no? I guess I'll start now.
No, I do not support Common Core.
No, I do not support Communist Core.
Yes, I do.
No.
I do support Common Core.
No, education is a state issue.
I do not support Common Core.
No.
I believe in supporting national standards, but let the states enforce it and to recommend modifications. But as a general standard, we should have national standards of quality education.
Okay. We have time for one more type group question, and then we'll go into the closing statements, where I want to make sure that you all have a chance to have the opportunity to clearly articulate your positions. Okay. Unfortunately, the panelists were not being rude. They're like, everyone is starving to death. It's a long day, so I ask for your patience. Tim, you seem particularly animated, so I'll let you take the last question here.
Okay, so yes or no question, test your geography and foreign policy again. Yes or no, would you recognize the nation of Kurdistan in the Middle East, given our ally is Iraq? Yes or no? We'll start with Mr. I can't remember your last name.
Singer.
Singer.
Yes.
Kurdistan is already part of another country, so it would have to be determined by that country. Thank you.
Yes.
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 I'll let the people decide that.
It's a complicated issue, but yes or no, yes.
I think the people should decide that.
Having worked in places like in Kosovo, where division has already existed, I would say no. We don't have to create more micro-states and cause more liberation fronts to occur.
Thank you. Okay. I think since we're at a junction point where I'm trying to balance everything out, and there's so many of you and so many of them and so many of us, I'm going to start with the closing statements. I think we started with the opening with Mr. Schiffman, so why don't we start with the closing statements with Mr. Singer. 90 seconds and keep rolling.
I want to thank again the Veterans of Politics for having us here today. This is a wonderful event. You know, my campaign, as I stated, is for the people and by the people, and that's the most important thing that we need in a representative. And while I'm a progressive Democrat, when I'm sent to Washington, I'm going to make sure that I fight for not only Democrats, but Republicans and independents. Because there's too many issues that have been ignored for way too long in Washington, and our voices have been drowned out too many times. And we need to have a representative that unstacks the deck that's been unfairly stacked against too many Americans. You know, the issues of wages, health care, a woman's right to choose, veterans, immigration, these are all issues that we need to tackle. We need to have a representative that has values and works in Washington on the campaign promises that he promised while he was campaigning. And that's exactly what we need in Washington, and that's why I'm running. My name is Alex Singer. I'm a Democrat here in Congressional District 3.
There are a lot of things that people have out there. I would encourage each and every one of you to go to AnnetteForCongress.com. I can't cover all of my resume, obviously in this short period of time, but I am one of the most experienced candidates up here. I have lived here for a very, very long time. I have worked in the casino industry. I have worked in veterans hospitals as a medical student and as a resident. There's a lot of experience that I have just being in the community and serving on multiple nonprofit boards. I still do some of that in my community. I believe that the best way to come up with wonderful legislation is to actually be part of the community. I have given hours and hours of countless service, and I will continue to do so. I will be one of the most strongest representatives for our heroes. I honestly think that America can do much, much better, and it makes me angry to see how if we don't treat them, if we don't treat the rest of our vulnerable, our elderly, our children, if we do not respect ourselves, how can we expect anybody across the world to respect us? And the other part of it is, I am not a bought and paid for candidate. You will not see me accept a bunch of contributions from anybody but people that are mostly inside of the district. Most of my contributions are from inside of the district, from local business owners, local people that actually will be voting for me, and not special interests, and not outside of the state, like some of my opponents, which anywhere from 70 to 100% of their funds, their large funds, come from outside of the state or outside of the district. Because I believe that you must be accountable to the people you're a representative. Thank you.
I first ran for this position 10 years ago in the 2006 election, and I have an extensive website with just about every issue there is addressed on my website with solutions. So I just ask everybody to take a look at michaelsforcongress.com, and I'm also very qualified in terms of education. I started in the healthcare end of the business back 50 years ago, and I've got a degree in political science and a master's in public administration. I've got a lot of constitutional education. I've probably taken 20 classes in the Constitution, and I've also kind of practiced in the federal courts as well as an amateur constitutionalist. Thank you for having me today.
My name is Dave Goossen. The reason I'm the solutions is because I'm a majority of one. Every problem we have in federal and state level was created by a Republican or Democrat. It's just a fact. If you want to change that, you can't elect a Republican or Democrat. I can give you 19 trillion reasons why we're in trouble. Because of the two-party system. It has to stop. This isn't something pocket protector. This is what I go by. You got a question, I start here first. This is my foundation. You want to ask about the military? Look in the Constitution, it's there. There's no Common Core and transportation, well, they post roads, but the point is that this is the reason we're here today is what? For an endorsement meeting. The reason I'm here today is to give you the solutions to the problems, and we've got a lot of them. If you want the same, elect a Republican or Democrat. The only way to stop it is to have someone up there that doesn't represent the party. We're finding out that they're private entities, the Republican Democratic Party. You want to stop that? Send one person up there. I'm no campaign donations, no political affiliation. My demographic is young and old, male and female. I'm the solution. Thank you.
Again, thank you for having us here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to have my fellow colleagues here, the panelists, in a bipartisan forum. Now, we have very serious issues facing our country, and we need leaders who are ready, willing, and able to get the work done. For example, in the CD3, we have 64,000 people living in poverty, and we need to change that. We need to have a living wage of $15 so people can put a roof over their head. Right now in the United States of America, in the year 2016, we have 30 million people who do not have health insurance coverage. We need to make health insurance as a right for everyone. In addition to that, by the year 2020, 65% of all jobs are going to require a college education. We need to make college education a right for everyone. In the state of Nevada, women make 30% less on the dollar than men. We need to have legislation that allows for equal pay for equal work. We also need to support immigration reform. 12 million people in our country who are undocumented live in fear each and every day. We need comprehensive immigration reform to allow them a path to citizenship. And we have to do something about dark money in politics. Your Citizens United has poisoned the political process. It has allowed billionaires and millionaires to buy elections and to buy representatives. We must end it. Please go to my website, Sbaih Jesse for Congress, and I look forward to your support. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to come here and speak with you today. A special thanks to my brothers and sisters in arms and to those taxpayers too that made it possible for us to be the most equipped military in the world. As a navigator over 30 years, there's three fundamentals that you need to have in order to be effective in navigation. You need to know where you're at, you need to know where you're going, and you need to have a course set out for how to get there and with the resources that you, and know what the resources are that you have available to be able to complete that mission. I think when you go to my website at kerrybowers.com, you're going to see the most detailed campaign platform of any candidate, including those of the President of the United, or those of the presidential candidates today too. A plan that clearly defines exactly where I know where we're at, and that is well off of the course that was laid down by the founders for this nation. I know where we need to go, and that's to that shining city on the hill, that beacon of freedom that our Constitution guaranteed to each one of us. And you're going to see the course that I've laid out, a course that not only includes detailed information about each one of the major issues in this nation, but 14 pieces of legislation, 2 already in Congress, one of those for the fair tax that I have been an editor on in the past, the most favored tax among all congressmen today in Congress, and another 12 pieces of legislation for everything from immigration to health care reform to Social Security reform to a balanced budget and a debt reduction plan. It's all there. And that's why I have set only 2 terms, my pledge to the American people, 2 terms only that I would run for in Congress. The first year is all I need to get the legislation in, 3 years to advocate it, and then do so from the outside as a civilian again. My name is Kerry Bowers, and I thank you for this opportunity.
I'm Neil Waite. I'll start off with my website, which should be very easy for everybody to remember because it's completely apropos for where we are today. It's waiteforcongress.com. The reason I am running is because we have a broken system. The culture in Washington is dysfunctional. We send representatives to Washington to represent us, but oftentimes they go and represent personal agenda or party platform agenda. The truth of the matter is the majority of citizens in Clark County support a woman's right to choose. The majority of citizens in Clark County support immigration reform. These are votes that our representatives should be making on behalf of the individuals within our county and our district, and that is not happening. The campaign promises should be extremely easy to keep, and the campaign promise that everyone up here should make is, I promise to represent the will of my district. That is what representation is. And that's what we are lacking in Washington. And that's why congressional approval rating was 11% the last election cycle. 96% of incumbents won. That's insane. When Congress gets a retirement benefit after 5 years of service, but you have to serve 20 years in the military before you're entitled to one, that's a broken system. That's what I want to fix. Again, waiteforcongress.com. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank all of you for giving us the opportunity to be here today and to consider us for a possible endorsement. Although I've never served in the military, I doubt there's anybody that has more respect for the dedication, the sacrifice that all of you and everyone in the military has provided to allow us to live in this country with the liberties and freedoms that we have. If I am fortunate enough to go back to Washington, D.C., we will not have a stronger advocate for veteran issues than myself. I think it's disgraceful that a country that spends money like we spend on such wasteful things, providing to countries that are not friendly to us, giving handouts to people, and we can't take care of our veterans. It's a disgrace. I hope that I can get back to Washington, D.C. and do something to change that. I believe your endorsement will make a great deal of importance to my campaign, and I ask you for your consideration. Hope that you will do so. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. As a former Peace Corps volunteer, I know it's like to reach out, to help. And as a matter of fact, I was in the area called Micronesia, Federated States of Micronesia, which was part of the U.S. trusteeship system working with the interior, where grants are important. One thing we haven't heard really today about spending is it's going to cost money to develop and to support the VA. That's what it comes down to. What it comes down to is be able to have somebody in Congress who will advocate more funding for such things as mental health, such as for community centers for joblessness, for perhaps in terms of working out and getting jobs and training and things of this sort. But it requires money and funding. It doesn't require new laws. And let's face it, as a freshman congressman, you're not going to have much input on whatever happens. You can be an advocate and you can suggest, but you're not going to get anything done. But the final analysis, what needs to be done is to get the community supported of funding for grants, money, whatever it takes to get the local community active. If the community here is not active, no matter what money Congress allocates, it won't go anyplace. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I want to congratulate, this is unprecedented, but we're actually about 8 minutes ahead of schedule. I had to give some time for some of the panelists to quickly order their lunches. We've been at it since 9 this morning, so I know you can appreciate that. With that in mind, if you don't mind an encore question, because you've earned it, you've done great as candidates, and we appreciate it. I believe I was up to Len. If you don't have a question, I can ask one myself. I don't have a question. Okay, Len.
Len Connell, radio show host. This will be a yes and no answer. The United States spends billions of dollars funding NATO, the United Nations, and other international organizations that more often than not vote against our foreign policy and our vision for the world. So since you guys are going to be controlling the purse strings, if you do get into Congress, would you vote for America withdrawing from NATO or from the United Nations? And I start with Alex.
No, I would not support backing out of NATO or the UN.
Actually, I believe that we've already funded those way more than anybody else has. So I would say yes, with the caveat that there may be instances where we do need to form alliances, but yes, we should not continue to fund nations that vote against us.
Absolutely not.
Renegotiate the NATO treaty and move the UN right into Syria or Yemen.
No.
I served on the NATO staff, and yes, I support continued operations in NATO, as well as looking to continue the UN, but only on a basis where we prioritize our money as how we're spending that.
No, I don't support withdrawing from the UN or NATO.
No. I'm not a neo-isolationist. We learned our lessons many years from that. You have to support international activities. Make sure that we have our fair say in it.
Okay, that was the encore question. Again, I appreciate everybody's cooperation. It's a lot to get through. Certainly, I want to also thank again our sponsors at Rhythm Kitchen, and I don't know, I have a list here somewhere, but it's quite lengthy because people really do believe in this, and I'm sure I can find it if I look for it, but I want to thank them again. They know who they are. At this point, the Congressional District 3 forum interview is concluded, and we thank you, and we thank the panelists. The panelists will now have